When Codenames was released back in 2015, no one expected just how far it would go. It wasn't just a hit among board gamers. It opened the door to people who never played modern board games before. Suddenly, everyone wanted to play. 10 years, 45 plus languages, millions of copies, and countless game nights later, Codenames is still bringing people together. At parties, over dinner, in classrooms, even online. But if you had to describe Codenames in just one word, what would it be?
It's got to be teamwork.
Definitely is going to be party.
Brain burner.
Clever.
Connecting, both in the mechanics of the game and connecting people.
Oh, well, in one word, yeah. I don't think English is. Neither Czech has, maybe German. So let's say the Wortassoziation Geheimagenten Verständigung Gemeinschaftsfreude. No, maybe I a bit invented this word, but you know, it's something like collective joy from understanding each other in agent-themed word association game, but yeah.
For me, Codenames is surprise, and surprise on so many levels. First, how this game was never invented before. Second, how Vlada actually came with it, basically as it is at that one moment. The change from the first prototype, gameplay-wise, to the final game was really, I would say, minor compared to other games we were doing. Then surprise how really fast we were actually able to make it in the end. Surprise how well it sold. I was expecting that it will sell way slower. Even first year, that really surprised me a lot. Then I was really surprised when it won Spiel des Jahres, because I had a feeling that for Spiel des Jahres it's slightly too heavy. Then I was kind of expecting that when it won Spiel des Jahres, that would be the top sales of Codenames in 1 year, because it usually has pretty big impact on sales, especially in Germany. But then every single year after that, till 2020, I believe, when COVID and sales were exceptionally high because of COVID, it was still rising. It surprised me how much people actually play the digital game. And you know how people love the game still even now and playing it a lot. So yeah, surprising on so many levels.
It's an honor for every game if you can see it's played after 10 years, because it doesn't happen very often and people are usually hungry for new games.
There's something special about Codenames, that you can play it with non-gamers. That's very big part of it. That you can just take your family and have a great time playing games. It is actually hard to convince non-gamers to play some games, and with Codenames it's easier.
It reveals how much of a pop culture background we share, because you know, me personally as a millennial, I have a certain sort of culture background, and when I see that being used, it's fun. So yeah, so it's that like connection that you see in players playing.
The game can be played by anybody who knows one thing, and that's their own language. And this is something that we learned from the first days that we were born. So nobody's excluded in terms of, oh, I'm not good at maths, or I don't know how to calculate my moves in a Euro game. So in this term, you have what it takes to play the game, and you can play it with your grandma or your kids. So there is no age kind of barrier. You can be mixing people of various professions and cultural backgrounds and social backgrounds, and this all creates these funny situations.
I think that Codenames started the spark of these word games that came after it, like the Crypto or maybe Just One, and other games using words. So before there was maybe Scrabble, like the one that used words as the core concept, but then I think that Codenames really brought that back up.
I really love clever party games, and my kids love them, my wife, we play a lot, and a lot of them were published in the past 10 years, really clever games, and I am really glad that Codenames is one of them and still shines and brings joy to players.
Then just the fact that I can manage the brand, it means some of the support emails, they get forwarded to me when my colleagues don't know how to answer. And then you see, the kinds of ideas that people keep bringing up with Codenames, 10 years after the first release, and how they want to propose using Codenames words, for example, on a table to their partner for marriage. So that's awesome.
Now, 10 years later, to celebrate all of the love it has received, we're marking this anniversary with something special. A new edition of Codenames, refreshed and upgraded, honoring the legacy of the original and opening the door to a new era.
If people really like the game for 10 years and keep playing it and so on, they deserve some more care. And so if we can do the game better now than 10 years ago, why not? Yeah,
we can basically, upgrade nearly everything about the Codenames. The only thing which we decided on purpose that we will not upgrade is basically the gameplay, because that works. Of course, we are rewriting rules in a way that they are more clear and more precise and more easy to grasp, because original Codenames were primarily designed with, people like us, board game enthusiasts who love board games and who would play it, Codenames, between games, let's say, of Sete, Arnak, and Through the Ages, for example. But as market showed us, the Codenames has way bigger target audience, so we tried to make the rules in a way that it's more approachable.
What can be improved is some little things in production, graphics. That's one thing, but another thing is that we have now lots of data. We have Codenames Online, we have Codenames app, and there are like millions of games played of Codenames. We can analyze these data.
And we wanted to see which words are used more often and which words are maybe more successful into helping players make successful clues. There are two parts: how much is the word used in a clue, and how often of those cases it is guessed correctly. The words that weren't picked so often were removed, and new words were added. One of the interesting things that we saw was that one of the most successful assassins, like the words that usually end the game, the black ones, is death. So death is an assassin, and to me it sounds funny. Also, one of the most successful words in the terms of the players being able to connect it was water, and I think it's really symbolic because the life comes from water, and so water is like the basis even of Codenames.
After we made the replacements, we ran the new words on Codenames Online, and we were able to compare before and after how the game performs. The effects are subtle. I think it's going to make the game just a little bit more fun.
The next thing that we changed, and it comes to production upgrades, is, let's say, the card stand, the one in which the key card stands. We changed this from plastic to rewood. It's the material that you can see in our games Seri or Kutnahora that resembles kind of like something between wood and plastic. It's 80% of recycled wood. So I'm very happy with this kind of more environmentally friendly approach that we've taken. Another upgrade that I can think about is an insert, which wasn't there before. It's not too common in party games, but we wanted to help people keep their beloved game organized. And that one also is an ABA plastic material, meaning that like 80 to 90% is recycled inside and it's just covered in very thin layers of pure material, kind of food grade packaging thingy.
And we are just removing one component, which many people said that it's not necessary, and that's the scent timer. I understand why Vladia wanted there, but in the meantime we developed Codenames. We called it Gadget. Now we are calling it Companion App. And there you can have this time limit, including some new game modes which are not possible to play without the phone, and interesting twist on the time element in the game.
What we wanted to upgrade is the nuances. For example, one of them being, we noticed people play Codenames in various settings. So you can be in a bar with your friends with poor lighting conditions. You have the keycard standing upright, the lighting isn't that great, and you may have a little bit of a trouble discerning what's red and what's blue on your keycard. That's why we made the keycards with Pantone colors, which are spot colors, and those allow us to produce a much brighter and vibrant effect. So in the same conditions, the card is going to be much better for your eyes, and you can see the colors differently.
It's a different type of work with colors. We decided to have red, yellow, blue, silver, and black, which are completely different colors. And if you mix these colors like in normal way, you cannot get all the shades which you are normally using for printing everything. I did about 120 different versions, color versions of basic square for grid card, and we did 4 tests in Printer Factory to see the result. With every test, I was closer and closer to the final result, which I think is great.
On this side, originally on the keycards, this was basically empty. But I have decided to make this more like 60s. So it would look like some sort of a spy device with a lens in the front that you can take pictures with. And then you can see what you take picture of on the other side.
Another thing that we improved is that we gave the base game unique characters on the agent tiles. Because when the game was first produced, we had no idea how widespread it would become, and it had these 4 iconic agents that kept repeating for the number of tiles that we needed. But right now, we know that the game deserves unique characters. So the game got those, including these lovely pigeons, which I'm sure you'll see more of.
One moment I really liked was when we were trying to come with ideas for bystanders, like someone whom you can meet in a city, but is not an agent. And it started as a joke that it could be a pigeon or 2 pigeons, and because Tomáš Kučerovský, who is drawing all these nice pictures, is doing a comics about two pigeons. Everyone liked the idea, and to my surprise, they end up in the game.
Yes, whenever we are updating, because that's not our first game, we did new edition of it. We did it with 3 Ages, we did it with Galaxy Tracker. So when we are doing this new edition of Codenames, we of course are cautious. So yes, I was worried, of course, and this is why we started with this way in advance, despite the fact that it's just update of existing game. But it was kind of similar with Galaxy Tracker and especially 3 Ages, because people love those games, and you need to be cautious that you will not break things which are magical for them.
It's difficult if you have a game that many people love and you want to change something. I would hate if people would say, hey, I miss the old Codenames, yeah. So I was really trying to ensure that everything that's changed is clearly better.
Codenames opened so many doors for us, not just to make more games, but to make better games. It helped us grow our team, build a home for creativity, even buy a factory to keep making our games here in the Czech Republic. It helped us stay true to our mission. So this new version of Codenames is more than an upgrade. It's a celebration of everything the game made possible, and it's our way of saying thank you.